If you've been researching Boise neighborhoods, you've seen the North End pop up on every single list. Every blogger, every realtor, every best place to live in Boise article says the same exact thing. Historic charm, walkability, Hyde Park, foothills access, and you're probably thinking, okay, but is it actually worth it? Or is it just the neighborhood that looks good on Instagram and costs way too much for what you get? So I want to answer that exact question because the honest answer is more interesting than yes, it's great, or no, let's just skip it. And hey, if we haven't met, I'm Brent Hansen with the City of Trees real estate team here in Boise. I've been in this market my entire life, and the North End is the neighborhood I get asked about the most by people moving from out of state. So here's the real picture, the good stuff, the part people miss, and the honest trade-offs that most videos don't even touch. And stick around to the end because I'm going to cover the one thing that surprises almost every buyer who falls in love with this area, and it is not the price. So let's start with what you've heard that's actually true. Yes, the North End is genuinely walkable, not fake walkable like some suburban developments where they call the parking lot a town square. I mean, walk to coffee, walk to lunch, bike to downtown, ditch the second car walkable. Hyde Park, which is the commercial strip in the heart of the North End, has coffee shops, restaurants, a bike shop, bars, and a candy store. And on Friday evenings in the summer, it feels more like a neighborhood in Denver than what you would expect in Boise. And the tree canopy, it is real. The North End has the oldest trees in the city. You're talking 80 to 100-year-old canopy that actually keeps the streets cooler in July, and that actually matters in Boise when you're dealing with 100+ degree days. Now, the foothills access is also real. Camel's Back Park is 2 blocks away from Hyde Park, and that gives you direct gateway access to the Ridge to Rivers trail system, which is over 150 miles of maintained trails. Morning run, mountain bike after work, dog walks at sunrise, all of it is right there. So that lifestyle reputation that you've heard about, it is actually earned by the North End. So here's what the reputation actually misses. Close your eyes for a second and think about what a Tuesday morning looks like here. You wake up around 6:30, it's already bright. You walk 3 blocks to Java, which is the kind of coffee shop where the regulars know your order and where the patio feels like someone's actual backyard. You're not scrolling your phone because you know the person sitting 2 tables over. You bike the Greenbelt to work downtown in about 12 minutes, lock up and head in. Now lunch. This is a walk to one of the 5 places on Hyde Park. And after work, you're on the Holes Gulch Trail before 5:30. You're home by 7 and dinner is at the table on your front porch because the evenings cool down fast. That is not a fantasy version of the North End. That's a completely realistic Tuesday for someone who lives there. Now, here's what the lifestyle actually costs you. The entry price in the North End right now is roughly in the $650,000 to $750,000 range for a smaller original bungalow. Those are 1,100 to 1,400 square feet homes built between 1905 and 1940. Then if you move up into the Boise Heights section, this is the area with bigger lots and foothill views. You're in the $1.2 to $1.5 million range without blinking. Now, if you want something remodeled and turnkey in the flat historic core, you're probably in the $800,000 to $900,000 range. So the lifestyle is real, but the price is real right along with it. Now, if you're trying to figure out whether the North End actually pencils out for your budget, shoot me a text and I'll pull recent comps and walk you through what you realistically get at different price points. Now, that's a quick and genuinely useful conversation that I am happy to have with you. So there's another dimension to the North End that people don't really talk about until they've lived there, and that's the social layer. The North End has its own identity in Boise. It draws a certain type of person, people who care about walkability, who maybe got rid of the big truck, who bring their own bags to the farmer's market, who take their kids to Camel's Back Park instead of a trampoline park. Now, that's not a judgment. It's just the vibe. And if that matches how you already live or how you want to live, the North End is the kind that accelerates that lifestyle. So get this, last year I was working with a family from Seattle who had never been to Boise before. They had came up for a scouting trip. Now, by their second morning, they were at Java, they'd walked Hyde Park, and they had run the ridge. By the time they flew home, they said, if we can afford the North End, that's it. This is where we're moving to. And they literally told me, we're not even gonna look anywhere else. Now, they closed on a remodeled 1920s bungalow in March, and that's the kind of click that happens fast for people who fit this neighborhood. Now, it doesn't happen for everyone, but when it does, let me tell you, it's clear. Now, if this is sounding like your kind of place and you want to talk through what's actually available in the North End right now, again, just shoot me a text. I can send you active listings, recent comps, and I can tell you what I would be looking for versus what I would be skeptical of. That's an easy text for me. And by the way, I love getting those types of text messages. Now, before we keep going, let me say something quickly. The City of Trees team has helped a lot of families find their right neighborhood in the Treasure Valley. Not just the right house, the right neighborhood, which I think matters sometimes more than the house. Because if the neighborhood isn't right, the house doesn't work long term. And my goal is to help people find their long-term solution. So if you want that kind of insight that comes with actually knowing this market, hit subscribe right now. I share stuff on this channel all the time that you won't find on any listing site anywhere, including Zillow or Realtor.com. Now, let me back up and give you the full picture of what a month in the North End actually looks like. Mornings start early here because the neighborhood wakes up early. By 7 a.m., there are runners on the trails, cyclists heading south to the Greenbelt, and the espresso line at the 2 or 3 coffee shops in Hyde Park, they're already packed. Now, the morning routine is social because it's compact enough to see the same people regularly. And weekends, that pulls towards the outdoors. Camel's Back Park gets busy, especially on Saturday mornings. Parking is legitimately tight. Most people who live here, they just walk or bike because the stress of finding a parking spot is real, which partly is why the neighborhood's lifestyle works the way it does. Now, if you're driving in from Meridian to use the park, you're dealing with street parking and hoping for luck. And if you live 2 blocks away, you walk out of your front door and boom, you're there. Now, the restaurant scene at Hyde Park is solid, but it's not massive. You've got a handful of great spots, some that are rotating and some that are anchored, like the North End Pizza, the bars and brewery, and the ice cream shop. For deeper dining, you're headed downtown, which in the North End is just a 10-minute bike ride or a 15-minute walk, depending on where you are. And the elementary schools that serve the area, they're Roosevelt and Garfield, both inside Boise Unified. They rank extremely well, and because the neighborhood is walkable, kids actually do walk to school here, which is increasingly rare in any city across the Northwest or the US. Now, one thing a lot of people don't know is the North End has its own neighborhood association that's been active for decades. They have real influence on development and decision in the area, and that's one reason the neighborhood has maintained its character while other parts of Boise had changed fast around it. Which means it's no accident that it still looks like 1940s outside and 2026 on the inside. Now, if you're curious what streets in the North End give you the best balance of price, walkability, and lot size right now, shoot me a text. I can walk you through the subzones within the neighborhoods and tell you where I'd focus if I were buying today. Now, here's where I want to be straight with you. The North End is not for everyone, and the reasons are real. The homes are old. That's not just a charm statement. It's a maintenance reality. Knob and tube wiring, galvanized plumbing, foundation quirks, and single pane windows in the original builds. Sewer lines that need camera inspections before you close. I mean, I always tell buyers to budget for the inspection and then budget again for what the inspection uncovers. In the North End, the inspection almost always uncovers something because of the age of the homes. And also, the lots can be small. If you want a yard where your kids can run and where you can entertain outside, the sub 5,000 square foot lots on the flat historic core are going to feel a little tight. Now, of course, Boise Heights gives you more room, but you're going to be paying significantly more for that space. And the garages are not built for modern life. These homes were built when people had one car and it was small. Now, if you're a 2-truck family, the North End will definitely test you. And most people that do have multiple vehicles, they do adapt, but some people just will never adapt to that. So here's what I'd ask yourself. Can you picture walking to coffee 3 mornings a week and running into people you actually know? Can you picture being on a mountain bike and hitting the trails within 12 minutes from your front door? Can you picture your kids walking to school on a sidewalk lined with 90-year-old trees? Can you picture a neighborhood where you recognize the barista, the neighbor, the person at the farmer's market? If the answer is yes, the North End price tag is gonna feel like it totally makes sense, because what you're buying isn't just square footage. You're buying a way of living that is near impossible to find in other Western cities growing as fast as Boise is. Now, if the answer is no, and that's completely fine, by the way, there are neighborhoods in this market right now that give you much more space, more garage, more yard, and a totally different version of life in the Treasure Valley. And here's the best part. I can help you figure out which one fits how you actually want to live. Either way, just shoot me a text. Tell me what you're looking for in a neighborhood, not just the specs, but how you actually want to live. That's the conversation I actually love having with people. It is a lot easier to find the right place when you start there. And as a reminder, again, I'm Brent Hansen with City of Trees Real Estate. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe so you get the next one, and go check out my video on Eagle versus Meridian. If you want to compare the North End to what the suburbs actually offer right now, that's the video for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.